Hello YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Critics Review. Today we're diving into a 2009 film that just recently became available to stream on Netflix. So in honor of that, we'll be discussing Funny People. Directed by Judd Apatow and starring Seth Rogen, Adam Sandler, and Leslie Mann. This film is sometimes seen as a flawed masterpiece and is also a personal comfort movie of mine that has continued to divide critics and audiences alike. Let's explore why.
I had a girlfriend. I don't have one, but I like it better. One night stands are tough, and I'm not great at sex, so at the end of every time I gotta look at him and go, hey, normally I do better than that.
It's very hard to be romantic with women when you live on a pull-out couch. Once those two little legs come down, you know it's on.
It's the moment I can remember. This is amazing, guys.
If he's like, do you have any friends that are like you but just way funnier and more talented? You can say yes.
Too early to know who's winning the fight, the medicine or the disease.
Did anybody ever tell you you have a very scary accent?
You are a very funny man. I enjoy you.
I don't think I am.
Now you're gonna start with the noises? Oh, come on, wipe it off. People are gonna think I broke up
Did you
with
tell your mom?
Yes, I sent her an email and she tried to email me back on a toaster.
At its core, Funny People is a movie about the pursuit of happiness. It follows the life of George Simmons, played brilliantly by Adam Sandler, who finds out he's gotten a terminal illness. This premise allows a unique setup of comedy and drama that challenges the traditional boundaries of that genre. The movie was also quite prescient and ahead of its time, as stand-up comedy and comedians were about to become a larger phenomenon after this movie would release. Adam Sandler's performance in Funny People is definitely a standout. We're used to seeing him in broad comedies like Mr. Deeds, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison. This is him putting in a performance more akin to his work with Paul Thomas Anderson in the incredible Punch Drunk Love. Being able to see him challenge himself with an authentic and dramatic role like he does with George Simmons here is such a joy to watch. Adam Sandler's patented charm and just, he's so likable. They work really well in a role where you really have to feel kind of sad for him. He's going through a really difficult time. He effortlessly portrays George Simmons' vulnerability, or sometimes lack thereof, is kind of a big thing in the comedy community. People who are often dealing with trauma and pain can mask that by cracking dick jokes and fart jokes. I think they managed to get a nice balancing act of here's some more dramatic stuff, here's some comedic stuff. It never feels too ham-fisted, and for the most part works the way I think Apatow intended it to. One of the biggest criticisms of Funny People is its length, and yes, I know it's really, really long. It clocks in at over 2.5 hours, which for a comedy is a sin. Does contribute to another aspect that I'm not a fan of, which is the lack of focus. I don't believe that the movie really gets to focus on its best parts. I can kind of feel and hear Judd Apatow, who's really known for improvisation on his sets and letting the actors kind of run with scenes and just shooting and shooting extra. Once they get to the editing board, they've got lots of jokes to go through. I think unfortunately the film loses some momentum when they get to these places where you really see that he's trying to elicit an emotional reaction. Unfortunately, it falls flat because there might be somebody who says something too funny too soon after that dramatic information is given. Some of the best parts of the movie that I find very comforting, and there aren't enough of. I think that there's 3 different movies here. He could have made 3 separate films that would have been much better on their own. By this time in his career, he had so much clout that he could have probably made 3 separate features. So due to that jumping between comedic and heavier dramatic moments, we do see the contrast that is trying to work but doesn't always work. The impact is lost. Life is often a blend of laughter and tears, as we are always dealing with, especially as I get into my 30s. Either it's a personal issue, I was recently laid off from my job. I've been doing my YouTube videos and looking for work. It's been really stressful, but I also just had my birthday and I was able to celebrate with my family. I was lucky enough, you know, my girlfriend still has her job, so she was able to get me a couple of presents to open. It was a good time, and I was really grateful for that. Life is difficult from time to time, and I do like what Apatow tried to do here with that mixing of emotions and ideas, and really like what adulthood feels like, and especially what adulthood feels like for people who are comedians. Lastly, the way they start the film with the cancer diagnosis, I would not have done that. I would have allowed for more of the stand-up portions of the movie, which are some of the best parts of the movie, because again, this movie was kind of on the cutting edge. Stand-up was still relegated to like Comedy Central, budding Netflix specials. It had this underground quality still in 2009. Seeing these like dramatic or like fictitious stand-up moments from established actors like Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen, instead of like building up that like comedian stand-up aspect, we don't know that much about George Simmons. Like, I think the movie expects you to like know Adam Sandler and love Adam Sandler. That's a lazy choice in the script writing. We should love George Simmons for a reason other than that he's playing an Adam Sandler analog. I get it that the movie's kind of meta in that way. It just doesn't work as well because that assumption is so heavily laid on. Something else that I think falls flat is the romantic subplot. This felt completely unnecessary to this movie. I love Leslie Mann. I could watch her all day. I think she's an incredible actor. I also think that relegating her to comedian's girlfriend or wife role doesn't always use her to her strength. She's one of the best. It just feels like kind of a tacked on thing because once George figures out that he doesn't have this terminal illness, cancer anymore, oh, he's got like this new lease on life. He's gonna go for it. You know, this was the girl that got away, that he wants to get her back, but what is the cost of like living in the past? What good does it do if you just, you know, found out that you can live longer or that you're unsure of this illness coming back at some point? Every idea feels like they got to like the last paragraph and they were like, we'll figure it out later. We'll do some improv or something. And what I really think sets Funny People apart is its meta commentary on the entertainment industry. The film examines the price of fame, the challenges faced by comedians, and the line between personal and professional relationships. And by delving into these themes, Funny People becomes more than just a comedy. It becomes a thought-provoking exploration of the human condition. Returning back to my comfort movie point, when we think of comfort movies, Funny People probably isn't the one that comes to mind. Imagine lighthearted rom-coms like Mean Girls or Tommy Boy starring Chris Farley, Chef by Jon Favreau. That's another good example. How does this make a good comfort movie? Jake, why do you like this movie so much? You've said so many things about it, noted its flaws. What about this movie speaks to you? It's a movie that beautifully combines laughter, creativity, change, personal growth, and communication in a way. I can put it on at any time and it will make me smile. That the comfort aspect really comes from the scenes with George and Ira. Those are always my favorite ones where, you know, he's doing, you got that big cock in there, let's see that big cock. That's the stuff that really makes me laugh. Like, they're really cute together, they got a good relationship. I love the idea of like a buddy cop comedy comedian thing. George Simmons plays this kind of like heavy, like, my dad beat me. All Seth Rogen's character cares about is like talking about his dick and fart jokes. I remember identifying so strongly with that character. Story time, actually. I was so pumped for this movie when it was announced. I watched every single trailer that came out. I watched all of the supplemental material that was on the internet. And this was 2009, so like Facebook and the internet were still relatively like a novel idea, and that they had all of these clips from these fake stand-up acts from Funny People. It was a really interesting time to be a Judd Apatow fan. I grew up on his movies like 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, stuff sort of adjacent to that, like Superbad and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. These were like my Bibles, like Pineapple Express. I knew all the quotes from these movies. I was obsessed with them. I loved Seth Rogen. I was a chubby kid growing up in high school. I aspired to be the class clown, grappled with that sense of, you know, stay to the sidelines, didn't want to get bullied. You know, I was a band kid, but I also loved comedy and I loved how seen I felt by these movies because it reminds me of a time in the past. It's nostalgic. It is a relic of 2009. So those relatable characters like George Simmons, Ira Wright, they're very real characters, especially in the current landscape where Every comedian has a podcast. Every comedian has an outlet to like really talk about themselves. Even then, it's a charming movie. Ultimately, like pretty lighthearted and in the pursuit of Judd Apatow, not only showing his love for Adam Sandler, but also showing his love for stand-up comedy. And then the blend of humor and drama does have a cathartic quality. You know, George getting that diagnosis that he no longer is sick. That's a good feeling. Anytime you get that news, it's a good feeling. It feels convenient plot structure-wise. It does work for those moments afterwards where you really get to see him like celebrating. And there's a really good scene where he's like trying to find a basketball game. Ira comes in there and, George, you know, is everything okay? Are you good? That's probably one of the best scenes for Adam Sandler in the movie. He's like, nothing fucking works. You call people and nothing works. You take these drugs and nothing works. Jesus Christ, man. I mean, that's the fucking American medical system, and this is like a billionaire comedian complaining about it. I bet it's like, doesn't make it any less relatable. We're all gonna die one day. We might as well crack a couple of jokes about it. One of the other comforting aspects of the movie is that it's promoting self-growth. A lot of these characters are really striving for success, fame, and comedians are sort of that last frontier of like American dream kind of narrative in a world that's becoming increasingly taken over by AI and technology, and they like are in the trenches. So many people who talk about like, oh man, like even myself, it's like I love comedy. I come up with jokes on my own all the time, but like getting in front of an audience, getting crickets or no one laughing or people booing you or like heckling you, that is a brutal thing to go through. So if you do something like that and you keep doing it and you get better and it's just in the pursuit of jokes and laughter, that is a compelling story. Its gentle nudge to embrace our vulnerabilities is a really good message in a movie where there are characters who are struggling with that vulnerability, eventually have to do some self-reflection and figure out like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of a piece of shit, like I should do better. So in conclusion, Funny People may not be the typical comfort movie, but its relatable characters, themes of personal growth and friendship, genuine performances, and emotional journey make it a perfect choice for a cozy night in. I also believe that all of these aspects make it a flawed masterpiece, if not Judd Apatow's magnum opus. So next time you're looking to watch something that's a little jagged, but ultimately feels like you're getting a warm hug while someone's trying to put their finger up your ass, check out Funny People. That's it for today's discussion on how Funny People is a flawed masterpiece and one of my personal comfort films. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider liking and hitting that subscribe button so that you get notified about all the upcoming Curtis reviews on my channel. And please don't forget to share your thoughts on Funny People in the comments below. If you like this movie, let me know. If you think this movie sucks ass, let me know. If you love Adam Sandler, what's your other favorite Adam Sandler movie? Comment below, do all the things, click all the buttons, tickle that algorithm for me a little bit. So until next time, keep watching movies, hug your loved ones, don't forget to eat some chips. Until next time, peace.
I'll give you 10 days on your 3-month plan.
No, I need 80 more days than that.
Okay, I do this because I care about you. I do this to motivate you. But I will fuck that girl in 10 days. I promise.
Come on, dude, I'm not cute like you. I don't look like Jackson Brown. I look like Jon Favreau.
Don't do this to me.
A famous thought-provoking. So in conclusion,